Now, from the Bay Area's local news station, you're watching KRON 4 News at 6.
And while adults can process emotions on losing a great basketball player, we have to kind of stop and think, how do we explain situations like this to children? Earlier today on KRON On, we talked to Dr. Dr Dragonette on having conversations with children when the world loses prominent figures.
I think, first of all, we do need to not be afraid to talk to our children about sad events like this. Sometimes I think parents have the misperception that telling a child about sad news or being willing to talk to them about it is going to make it worse. But in fact, they need us to be there for them and to be willing to talk openly about what happened. So I'd recommend that parents approach it head on, assume that children will be able to access this information on their own, even if it's not the parent, and understand that what they need right now is to have validation for their feelings and what they're experiencing. So I would recommend that parents really start with questions of how are you impacted by this? How is this sitting with you? To be able to really frame that grief comes and goes, and particularly with children, it might not be a linear type of grief. It might not be the worst in the beginning and then, increasingly easy as time goes on. Grief can pop up unexpectedly. I think another thing to be aware of is that if a family has also experienced death or loss, this can trigger those feelings and can make old losses come to the surface again. We obviously don't want to overload on exposure to it, but being willing to have the conversation with your child about, this is something really hard that happened, and it's hard for me too, and I'm impacted by it.
This interview first ran on our 24/7 streaming news service called KRON On. You can make sure and download that app to watch the full interview and much more tonight.